Morning, peeps. I'm back again, and I can't promise you such an entertaining opening sequence as we had in the last video. I was hungover, I was talking rubbish, and it was all flowing, wasn't it? We're talking about the cat, talking about anxiety, and all those type of things. Well, today we're actually going to be talking about FPL. Because I've had a proper breakfast today, toast, marmalade, all that sort of thing. The old PG tips have come out rather than the IPA. And so we're going to have a proper look today. I actually did all my transfers the other day after I did that video. And you saw the state my head was in. But with my transfers, I just like to go with my gut most of the time. So what I find is if I wait until Friday, I talk myself out of things. And when you need to make bold decisions, like I've made this week, I've actually got rid of Haaland. When you need to make bold decisions, sometimes you can think too much about it. It's like in the military, thinking's bad. You just got to act first, and you stop and think, and it all turns to custard, doesn't it? So I've made 3 changes already this week. I looked at the comments on YouTube videos, and by the way, Pete, if you leave a comment on these videos, I always try and answer them. I'm not like these people who just ignores their audience and just want clicks. I want to be interacting with you guys. So encourage you to leave comments, and I pretty much always answer them. But I've made 3 transfers anyway, and Haaland's gone for Watkins. Look at the next 6. Well, we'll do that in a minute. But Fernandez went yesterday for Saka. Fernandez is going to drop in price. I'm still following my price strategy. People are saying to me, you're doing shit because you're just concentrating on making money. Well, that's not true, because the only difference is with my strategy that I'm using is for the actual timing of the transfers. I would still be taking out Fernandez, but some people will wait till a Friday, but I'll go early for the team value. That's the only real difference. The team value accumulation and the points isn't really connected, I think. That's just a coincidence. In fact, I haven't got many points, but I've got a high team value. It could have just as easily been high team value, high points. But, don't be discouraged. I think I'm 2.5 million, but I'm only like 90 odd points off the top 10K. And with an extra couple of million in the bank, it doesn't particularly worry me. There's still a very, very long way to go. And things will be decided, I think, with this no Haaland is going to make a difference. It's either going to go one way or the other. But certainly don't be disheartened, because I've seen teams go from 2 million down to 50k in just 2 weeks. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much at all. So anyway, Foden's gone, and he's gone for Salah. So I've got Salah, Saka, and Watkins in, and they've got terrific fixtures. And it's a -4, but everyone's on their a lot of people on a wild card this week. I did mine in game week 3. I got like the likes of Cashin, Udogi, Anderson, all have risen substantially. Ariola, Leno, they've all gone up quite a bit. So I've banked all that money, and my non-wild card team now is not much different from a lot of wildcarders. For 4 or 8 points, you can pretty much get the same team that people are looking at now. So I think the ones who are going now, really, they've kind of left it a bit late, possibly, but we shall see. Not sure who to captain this week, Watkins or Salah. I'll probably leave that to the polls to decide and just pick whichever one's the top. That's what I generally do. And we'll have a quick look at fixtures to see why I'm doing what I'm doing. So let's have a look. Palace at top. Anderson's in there. Haven't used him much. He came off the bench for me for a big haul against Man United a couple of weeks ago. But they've got decent fixtures coming up. Brighton. So Mitoma's looking very interesting, actually. If you're looking to save money to bring in the likes of Salah, then Mitoma's looking pretty strong option. West Ham, again, Bowen. Have a very appealing option there. Tottenham. Now, people are saying Tottenham have got bad fixtures, and they're all looking at taking out Son. But they're not terrible. I mean, they're not great and they're not terrible. And I think with somebody like Son, who's kind of an counter-attacking player anyway, I think we should reserve judgment on him because he's looking very good. Like somebody said yesterday, if Kane was a midfielder last season, you wouldn't think of taking him out, would you, if he only cost like 9 million or whatever? And Son's pretty much replicating the points that Kane was making last season. I mean, Tottenham are so attacking, but I think you want their assets in your team. I'm not even worried about having Maddison and Son. They're going to score goals basically. And you saw yesterday they could have had like 2 or 3 each, couldn't they? They were both trying to assist and score off each other. And really, they probably should have had more points than they actually did. People without them would have been suffering badly. Now you look at Villa. I've only done this to 4 fixtures to keep it simple, but the fixtures do turn a bit harder after the next sort of 3 or 4. But this next 3, Luton at home, Forest away, Fulham at home. I mean, if he can't match Haaland, I'd be surprised. You've got City away at United, home to Bournemouth, and away at Chelsea, who are very, very quite good defensively. They're looking better and better, Chelsea. And, they've got Champions League as well. Tottenham and Villa don't. But Villa do have Europa League, but I don't think it's quite as taxing. Can rest them every so often. But, yeah, I'm prepared to take the punt that Watkins is going to outscore Haaland in the next 3. And even if he doesn't, at that big price difference, he doesn't actually have to outscore Haaland to make him value, because Salah, Watkins and Trippier, for example, will probably outscore Haaland, a lesser defender and, somebody else. So you've got to look at it that way. Because we looked at Wag's team yesterday. She's had no City all season. And there have been weeks when Haaland scored really well, but she's still done well because of all the other players she's got around. She's had the Watkins and all those players. And I'll tell you what, Pete, Watkins this season, people say, oh, it's not sustainable with him because he hasn't done this kind of thing in the past. But he's playing differently now. The manager's got him, he's looking frightening. He's looking the real deal. And I think you can bring him in with confidence. Okay, he might just get an assist here and there and the odd goal, but he is going to get big hauls as well. And with those next 3 fixtures, it looks pretty good, I mean, Haaland's going to get goals as well. He could get a hat-trick next week against Bournemouth. But even if he does, and you extend this fixture ticker to about 6 or 7 weeks, they've got a run of fixtures that aren't particularly enticing. And if you've got Alvarez, then, he's only like 6 or 7 points off Haaland anyway this season. And we've got to remember that last season, it was all about De Bruyne and Haaland, wasn't it? And De Bruyne's not there this year. It's different. And Alvarez is playing a much bigger role in the team. Things have changed. It's not all about De Bruyne passing the Haaland goal. That's changed. So, you've got to be flexible on these things. And the other thing is, just because you take Haaland out, doesn't mean you can't get him back in. I got him out with 2 fixtures. I can bring him back with 2 fixtures. So it's not like it's forever. But for this run, it looks a decent option. I mean, you saw me with my hangover the other day trying to figure out how I could get Salah in and Watkins and all these people. And it was very convoluted. I could have taken out Fernandes and Foden and got Salah and Palmer. But, I wouldn't have had Watkins for this next 3 run. I'd have been stuck having to play Palmer on most weeks. And you look at this fixture ticker, and the team that's right at the bottom is Chelsea. And I think it's for the next 6 weeks. They've just got awful fixtures. And I know Palmer's had a couple of penalties, but he could easily just blank the next 6, and people are going to have him, and they're going to think, why have I got Palmer sitting there? And it's all because they could get Haaland, keep Haaland. And if Haaland doesn't do well, they're going to get slaughtered by, if you haven't got Haaland but you've got Palmer, and Palmer does nothing, and Haaland does nothing, then you're not going to be looking too flash, are you? So You know, you can't have everybody basically unless you take out Haaland. But then of course you haven't got Haaland. But if you keep Haaland, there's someone you're not going to get. You're not going to have like you're not going to have a Trippier or a Watkins, one of these sort of people. So you just got to take your chances. And I think with the fixtures that City have got, okay, they do well against anyone. I mean, they could trash United, couldn't they? But I don't think you should be scared because, Watkins, yes, Haaland can get a hat trick, but so can Watkins. We've seen it. You know, he can get big scores. So anyway, peeps, basically, I think what I'm trying to tell you is just treat Haaland just like another player. Do what you normally do. You know, look at the fixtures, pick the players that you think are going to get the most points in the next 5 or 6 weeks or whatever. And don't worry about the fact that 80% of the game owns Haaland because his ownership is dropping and a lot of it will be inactive teams anyway. And just don't be afraid. And if you want to win FPL, you're going to have to do something a bit different at some point, aren't you? You know, we've seen this with Wag's teams. He's up to 50k, no Man City. There's plenty of managers, that have played with a real straight template bat, like myself even. And we're in the millions. You know, you've got people like ours that's complaining he's 3 million, so it happens. But I mean, it's early days, peeps, early days. But you're not going to win if you're not going to be bold at some point. So you have to decide what you're doing. That's why I went early. I thought I'm not going to muck about. I've seen people on Twitter, and they're all debating. All the content creators debating whether to get rid of Haaland or not, and they're on the fence. They're sitting on the fence. You just got to be decisive. You're going to make up your mind what you're going to do, and just do it. I mean, saying that, if Saka's injured tonight, I'm going to look like a bit of a dick, aren't I? Because I brought him in last night. He's playing in the Champions League in a minute. Probably going to do himself in. And then it's going to be, why have you wasted, you've done this, you've done that, -4, blah, 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 you went too early. But I put it to you, peeps, that so far this season, not a single time that I've brought in a player has he then gone on to be injured later in the week. I probably jinxed it now, haven't I? Saka's going to go and have something terrible happen to him. But even if it does, like every, say, 14, 15 weeks, you get a player in and they're injured. Might happen a couple of times a season. When you look at all the team value you save by going a bit earlier, I think it's going to more than outweigh the occasional injury from going too early. So we'll see. Anyway, I'll be watching Arsenal tonight with a bit of trepidation, just in case he is injured. But hopefully we're going to beat Seville, and Saka's going to look good. But you look at Arsenal's run. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? They've got Sheffield United at home. They've got Burnley coming up. I think they've got Luton coming up just outside this next 4 fixtures. And time to get back on the horse, I think. But to be honest, I probably should have never taken Saka out in the first place because I think I took him out and got Fernandes in. And Fernandes has probably got less points than Saka did anyway. So, patience, peeps, patience. What else? What else have we got? I've still got Sterling in my team, and you can see that bottom of the fixture ticker. And he's only really there because I've only got so many transfers I can do. I mean, people telling me to do a -8. I hate -8s, but you'd have to think, really, that Bowen, for example, who's sitting third there on the ticker, that Bowen will outscore Sterling by more than 4 points over the next, 5-6 game weeks. So the reason I'm waiting on that one is because Chelsea are at home to Brentford this week, which isn't actually too bad, is it? But after this week, Sterling will probably be going for me because I won't take a -8 this week. But next week I'll be taking out Sterling and bringing in Bowen. He's my... Well, actually, having said that, there's Mitoma, isn't there? So Mitoma or Bowen, I'm thinking, are kind of the best in that bracket there. You've got, who else is there? You've got Diaby for Villa. I mean, he's gone off the boil a little bit, hasn't he, since he's made that transfer, and he looked really, really good in the first few weeks. But he's kind of gone off the boil a little bit, and sort of Watkins has come into the ascendancy, hasn't he? But yeah, Matoma or Bowen. I think Matoma's cheaper, isn't he, than Bowen? But we shall see. I mean, Bowen's had really hard fixtures since the start of the season. He's been in my fan team since the beginning, and he's managed to kind of score quite a lot of goals actually, playing in the tougher fixtures. It's going to be interesting how they go in the easier ones. Who else can we talk about? Liverpool, right? Okay, so I've got Salah in now. The only other one I'd probably consider would be Trent, but I cannot quite afford him just yet. But I might bring him in a week or two. Not really interested in any of their other midfielders or Darwin. When you've got Watkins and Alvarez, I think Darwin, he's just too much of a risky sort of asset, really. I mean, he's the sort of asset that players who like to play fast and loose, will bring in occasionally. But if you're a long-term planning type of manager, you're not going to be bringing in the likes of Darwin, I think. What else have we got? So we've got City down the bottom. Alvarez, 6.5 million or whatever he was when he started. Fantastic value. So I really didn't want to take Alvarez out. So really, I tried to look at a 4-3-3, but it was difficult with Watkins, Alvarez and Haaland. But that made compromises elsewhere, and unless you're on a wild card, it's difficult. So really, Haaland kind of had to go if I wanted Watkins, basically, and Salah, etc. So yeah, you got to do what's best for your team, peeps. Basically, there's always options. We've seen it, haven't we? We've seen all these various different teams and their ranks, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. Sorry, cat. She's still not well, peeps. Still not well. I'm waiting to hear from a vet today because she had a biopsy and it's lymphoma of some sort. We've got to find out how aggressive it is, whether she's going to last the season or not. Bit up in the air in this stage. She's still nagging me for her interview for her team. She's up to 300k at the moment. Actually, she's doing quite well. Very template team, but it's better than my template team. So it's a bit weird, isn't it? Some people, very, very few. You look at the mainstream content creators that have all had fairly similar teams. Some of them are like 3 million, some of them are 300k or whatever. And it's basically like if you've got Bramo in a certain week, if you've got Sterling when he got his points, or, minor things, because there's still very little gaps, small gaps with points. You've only one big haul from going up like 1 million or 2 million places. And it's just a question of when it's going to arrive. But anyway, peeps, so one thing without Haaland, I think, that you have to be comfortable with is variance. Because once you go without Haaland, you are going to start getting good scores when other people are getting bad scores, and you're going to be getting bad scores when all the hordes on Twitter are getting good scores, and they're all going to be going on it. Yeah, why have you got rid of Haaland? You've done this, you've done that. Oh, you're an idiot, getting rid of him because he's got a hat trick against Bournemouth. And the pressure gets on you, doesn't it? You start thinking, have I done a terrible mistake not having Haaland? And then you're tempted to flip back or whatever. So if you're going to go without Haaland, you have to have a kind of mentality where you're happy to get your points in weeks where other people aren't, and vice versa. Because basically you've got to be able to play your own game, because it's easy to stick with the herd the whole time and just be comfortable. But being comfortable isn't probably going to shoot you up the ranks. It's just going to put you in that comfy spot where you're sort of semi-medicated and drifting through FPL with everybody else. You've got the comfort of comforting each other when you get a bad game week, etc. But really, you've got to be comfortable with a bit of variance, and you've got to be a bit brave sometimes. And like I said, you look at the fixtures, you look at the form of the other players, and taking Haaland out does not look as silly as it might have seemed a few weeks ago. And to be honest, without De Bruyne there, he isn't quite up to what he was last season, I think, is he? You seem defences are getting a bit more used to him. City have kind of evolved a little bit in how they're playing. And I think a lot of the opposition concentrate on Haaland now. And that's good for the likes of Alvarez and all the other players in the City team, except for that prick Foden, who probably is the one but is now going to get a hat-trick, because I've got rid of him. He's done absolutely nothing. And to be honest, I'm more thinking that it's going to be him that annoys me rather than Haaland. But I was quite patient with Foden, but to be honest, he was an absolutely awful transfer, it turned out, especially when you think that all the other runs around his price level have all been hauling at various points, haven't they? Your Matomas, your Buendia, what's his name? Tell me, Pigs, what's his name? Brentford, Mbuemo, that's the one. You know, I took him out, I think I took him out for Foden a few weeks ago, and even he got another haul, didn't he? So everyone's been hauling except for Foden and those Man United pricks. So they're all gone now anyway. And it's now just a question of who to captain. Is it going to be Salah or is it going to be Watkins? I don't know. Home to Luton, it's a pretty good fixture, isn't it? Then again, it's Salah. So, like I said, I'll let the polls decide, see what the flow's going with, and that'll be it. As for the rest of my team, like I said, I'm pretty happy with everybody now. It's well set. I'm quite happy keeping Son and Maddison. Sterling will be the next one on the chopping block for either Bowen or Mitoma. And then it looks like, hopefully, my team's going to settle down. So I think Reguilon's fit again. And can get back to having two transfers, because this team now is looking kind of set up for quite a few weeks to come. You know, like Cash has got good fixtures. Udogis are average, but Andersons are becoming really good. So I can bench Udogi and play Anderson. Might better play Reguilon in a couple of games. Keepers are looking good. Watkins, Alvarez up front. So nothing much to worry about. And in like 6 or 7 weeks, I'll look at it again and probably bring back Haaland in. And then my team value, hopefully, which is now nearly 104 million. I've managed to avoid any drops this week by getting rid of Foden and Fernandes, getting Salah in before his latest rise and Watkins before his latest rise. So I'm heading towards 104 million already. I don't think I'm going to get to 106 million before Christmas, but we'll wait and see. And then it's going to be a question of using all that power to shoot up the table. Anyway, Pips, I'm off now because I've had enough, and the football's on soon, and I'm actually waiting for a call from work, you know, because they don't normally want me. I'm a last resort. But if there's a lot of people sick today, they'll be ringing me up going, Nick, we need you in. You know, you're indispensable all of a sudden, and I'll be off. Anyway, peeps, so no one's indispensable, and that includes Haaland. So I'll see you all later anyway. I might do another one before the end of the week. And as usual, like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later. Okay then, so cheers for now.